You're wondering what you're looking at on the screen, right? So it's this disgusting mud that I just dug out of the bay with a shovel. Nice. And it's the real stinky stuff that's like, you know, you put your foot down in it, pull it up, and it smells bad.
Yeah.
It's got the sulfur smell. This was over by the boat launch at the schooner, and I just dug up a bunch. But this is what you're looking at here on the screen. And it's much prettier when you look at it here, right? So it's got lots of quartz, and it's got crawly things in it. Now, it's been under a light for a while, so some of the crawly things are gassing out, but you can see some algae strands. These are nematodes right here, which are worms. There's single-celled things crawling around. There's actually a lot crawling, right, when you look. So this is something that I started class with as well, having students kind of look at this and describe what they're seeing, even guess what they're seeing. You know, how big is it? What are we looking at? What types of things? Where's this from? Just a general discussion. It was pretty fun. You know, it's hard to believe that its origins is this goop here, right? And then if you think about how many things are just moving around in this one little slide, then think about that this is just one little fraction of a piece of water, and then how much is actually in that mud, right? Trying to quantify and count that gets pretty fast. So that's a good little example of an intro activity, just something to do to get people going when they walk in the door, to have this up and to grab attention, and pretty easy to focus the room if half the room is already looking at it and talking about it. So, little trick of the trade. Matt asked me to do this last week, and then I honestly forgot until today. When he came in this morning, he's like, "We're doing the round table," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, oh yeah." So I'm just going to go with what I had, and this is kind of what I had anyway. So when I start my class, I use a warm-up slide. I have a bunch of these saved up from past trimesters, and on my end of things, it looks like this. So this is one that I just will make a new copy of generally each year, and just move things around and edit them. And when kids walk in the door, it's something to kind of keep me on track for what we're going to do today, what we're going to do over the week, you know, things I need to talk about, upcoming events, whatever. So it's kind of like my daily, I just go through these things in order, and it kind of gets my brain straight too, so that I make sure that I hit everything, and that and people can see stuff and ask questions, etc. I think it's helpful to be organized, and I often just recycle these year after year. I have them for my different classes, so for my different topics sometimes. Have them for Biology A, for Biology B, because I'll often put in warm-ups and other instructions or all kinds of things in here. I have a lot of warm-ups like this, and I'll talk about those in a minute. Some general inquiry ones and stuff. So this is how I start class. I generally have this in here, I go over it, and then I'll do some type of a daily warm-up. I had my students doing one today, so when they come in, they grab a half sheet of paper, and I always say that half sheets never leave my classroom, so it's just a general thing that you grab, put your name on it, and then answer this type of question here. So this one, I did these one at a time, so you just saw this one, and then I had them answering this and discussing, and then I was just putting them up here on the board. As they started to throw some out, I let them work in tables for a minute to try and come up with 3 things that are very different from one another. So not like dog, cat, squirrel, try to make them different. And then I talked about what they all have in common. It was a jump off point for our discussion, and worked pretty well, and then it starts to get squirrely, and then you just weave on out of it and get where you're going. For me, then I switched over, and I had my kids today doing notes, and so we were taking notes today. I like lecture notes. I find that it helps students stay organized. It's better than a textbook because it's engaging. They have something to do. And they generally like taking notes. If you do it day after day, they're not going to like it, but you'd be like a day or two a week, and students generally like taking notes. Again, it gives them something to do and to engage with. So I have them take notes on these different topics that we're talking about. Is kind of how we drill down on the content and discuss things. And then tomorrow we're going to do a lab activity. We're going to go outside. When we finish notes, I also have over here, every table has one of these little kits next to it. So in here we have color pencils, which they can draw and do posters with. We also have highlighters. and dry erase pens. So I'll have them when we're done with our notes and they've finished a note section, take them out, annotate them, highlight them, and use the highlighters for that if they want to. And then I have them submit their notes as an assignment using the old Canvas. So let's take a look at this. This is last week's. And so they'll then hold up their notes and then take a screenshot of it and turn them into me. And I can see that they've taken their notes. Super Scooby, and then I don't have to deal with any paper. I don't have a stack of notebooks. They're not missing their notes at any point, so they don't, it's never out of their hand, it's always in their possession. They can use it on a test or whatever, and I don't have to hand anything back. This makes grading really easy. I can sit here tonight and go, great, 20 points, click to the next one, and then just start assigning points. If you want to, you can write a comment down here. It's not hard to do, it's really quick and easy, and they actually, and they generally read them too. But I don't have to sit and read through all of their work as well. I can generally just see that you did it, that's good, right? You don't have to comment on every single thing your students turn into you. You really have to remember that because you can get buried in paperwork and then get behind on grading and all this stuff, and sometimes you just need to see that they did it and then move on. The analogy that I've used is like if you're a personal trainer, I don't have to lift every single set that I expect you to lift, right? My job is to be there and coach you and help you, but like you got to do the lifting, and I'm there to like help you along in that process, and that's sometimes what teaching is. So I had them do the notes today. We talked about it. I used this. I kept referring back to this, to the mud, and I had some seaweed there in a bucket that I was bringing out. And then I have an exit ticket as well. So the exit ticket is, I really try and time this. Like I'm watching the clock for the exit ticket and I weave it so that it runs right up into the bell. I want them to feel rushed at the end to get the exit ticket done. That way my students aren't standing at the door. That's really what the exit ticket is to avoid. It's also to help them summarize their notes and their thoughts. You don't want to rush it too much to where they only have 1 minute because then they might not do it. But if you give them 3 minutes, 4 minutes, that's fine. You give them 10 minutes, they're going to finish it in 2 or 3, and then they're going to stand by the door. So generally, I give them just enough time, and this is an all-purpose exit ticket. They may not be the most serious, but they generally will put some pretty decent answers on here. So 3 things you learned and are super solid with, 2 questions you have, like what are some things you have questions on? This person wants to know more about DNA, and I can't even read the second one. That's a fascinating one. I don't even know what that says. Nevertheless, you get them to ask you 2 questions, and you can kind of answer those in class. Generally, just kind of gauge where they're at. I don't usually grade these. I usually just flip through them. One thing that you want you want me to know that they're going to tell you this is random, and this is a chance for your students to check in with you. Super important, if you're going to ask this question, to read through them all though. Because there have been times when I have read through these like a week later, and there was something that was kind of important in there that they shared with you that you probably should have been aware of quicker than later, right? So you want to just kind of, I will sit here today before I leave and just quickly flip through these and go good, good, good. And if there's anything that really stands out, I'll put it to the side, highlight it, move it to the top, and then tomorrow I'll deal with it. Super easy way to do it. If you want to put these down for a grade, I have my TA go through and then check them off on a list that they were done, and you can give them for 5 points. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. If the students stop doing them and aren't taking them seriously, then I'll put them in as a grade, or I'll threaten to, and then do it. Yeah. Boom. I think that's it. Any questions about any of this? It's basic, but it works.